Hello and welcome back. Today we are diving into the financials of a company that's been making waves since its demerger, Jio Financial Services Limited or JFSL.
That's right, JFSL isn't your typical finance company. It's registered as a core investment company or CIC with the RBI. They're building a full-stack financial services business. Think lending, insurance broking, payment solutions, even a payments bank. And they've got joint ventures with BlackRock for asset management, wealth, and broking. Quite a diverse portfolio they're building.
Definitely aiming for a big slice of the fintech pie. They're pushing a digital-first model, heavily leveraging their Jio Finance app. So let's get into their latest numbers. What report are we looking at?
We're looking at their audited financial results, covering both consolidated and standalone figures for the fourth quarter and the full financial year ended March 31, 2025. The board approved these results on April 17, 2025.
Audited results? Good. Let's start with the big picture. The consolidated results for the full year, FY25. How did the top and bottom lines look?
Okay, for the full financial year 25 on a consolidated basis, the total income came in at 2,079 crore rupees. That's up about 12% compared to 1,855 crore rupees in FY24.
12% growth in total income. Okay. And the profit?
The profit after tax or PAT for FY25 was 1,613 crore rupees, which is pretty much flat compared to the 1,605 crore rupees they reported last year. It's interesting to note that their pre-provision operating profit or PPOP was strong at 1,594 crore rupees for the year. A large chunk of their income comes from sources like investment gains. Net gain on fair value changes was 794 crore rupees and dividend income was 241 crore rupees. The actual income from business operations like lending fees and payment services was reported at 349 crore rupees.
Right, typical for a CIC structure initially. How did the final quarter, Q4 FY25, look on a consolidated basis?
For Q4, the total income was 518 crore rupees, a solid 24% jump year-over-year from 418 crore rupees. The profit after tax for the quarter was 316 crore rupees, again relatively flat compared to 311 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. The PPOP for Q4 showed good growth though, up 18% year-over-year to 374 crore rupees.
Got it. And what about earnings per share, the EPS, on a consolidated basis?
For the full year FY25, the consolidated basic EPS stood at 2.54 rupees, slightly up from 2.53 rupees last year. For Q4, the EPS was 0.50 rupees compared to 0.49 rupees in Q4 of FY24.
Okay, so consolidated income up, but profit relatively stable year-over-year, likely due to the mix of income and perhaps rising operating costs as they build out the businesses. Now let's switch gears to the standalone results, just the holding company itself. How did that perform?
The standalone picture is quite different in terms of profit growth. For the full year, FY25, standalone total income was 839 crore rupees, up from 639 crore rupees last year. The standalone profit after tax saw a significant jump to 549 crore rupees compared to 383 crore rupees in FY24.
Wow, that's a big jump in standalone PAT. What about Q4 standalone?
Similar trend in Q4. Total income was 175 crore rupees, up from 141 crore rupees year-over-year. And Q4 PAT came in at 97 crore rupees, up from 78 crore rupees in the same quarter last year. Again, standalone performance is heavily influenced by investment income, like fair value gains of 447 crore rupees and dividend income of 235 crore rupees for the full year.
And the standalone EPS?
Standalone EPS for FY25 was 0.86 rupees, up from 0.60 rupees last year. For Q4, it was 0.15 rupees versus 0.12 rupees year-over-year.
Interesting contrast between the flat consolidated PAT and the strong standalone PAT growth. Let's talk profitability. Margins seem quite high, as expected for an investment-focused entity, right? Any difference between consolidated and standalone?
Absolutely. The margins are very high. Looking at consolidated numbers for FY25, the PAT margin was around 77.6%. For standalone FY25, the PAT margin was about 65.4%. While both are high, the consolidated margin appears higher this year, potentially due to the significant contribution from associates and JVs relative to the holding company's direct income, even after accounting for subsidiary operating costs. It's also worth noting the report didn't list any exceptional items for either standalone or consolidated, suggesting these are fairly clean operational numbers.
Okay, shifting to the balance sheet, any major changes or highlights there? Consolidated versus standalone?
On the consolidated side, as of March 31, 2025, total assets stood at roughly 1,33,510 crore rupees. The big components are investments at nearly 1,19,000 crore rupees and loans, which saw a massive jump to 10,053 crore rupees from just 173 crore rupees the previous year. That really highlights the scaling up of their lending business.
10,000 crore in loans, that's significant growth. What about standalone assets?
Standalone total assets were about 25,096 crore rupees. Again, primarily investments at around 22,700 crore rupees and loans stood at about 1,748 crore rupees, up from 92 crore rupees. The company also mentioned infusing additional equity of 1,346 crore rupees into its group entities during FY25 to fuel this growth.
That equity infusion makes sense given the loan book expansion. How does the cash flow look and any news on dividends? We'll focus on the consolidated view here.
The consolidated cash flow statement shows net cash used in operating activities was about 10,083 crore rupees, largely driven by that increase in the loan portfolio. Net cash from investing activities was positive at 6,406 crore rupees, mainly due to the churn in their large investment portfolio. Net cash from financing activities was also positive at 3,962 crore rupees, primarily from proceeds from borrowings. And importantly, the board has recommended a dividend of 0.50 rupees per equity share for FY25, subject to shareholder approval.
A dividend recommendation, good to note. Now, JFSL doesn't have traditional segments, but the investor presentation broke down performance by business lines. How did the lending and leasing arm Jio Finance Limited perform?
That was a standout. As we saw in the balance sheet, the assets under management or AUM for Jio Finance Limited crossed the 10,000 crore rupees mark, hitting 10,053 crore rupees by year-end, up dramatically from just 173 crore rupees the previous year. They've launched retail products like home loans, loan against property, loan against mutual funds, and corporate products like vendor financing and term loans. They've established a physical presence in 10 Tier 1 cities. This growth contributed to that consolidated 349 crore rupees figure for income from business operations.
Impressive AUM growth. What about the payments bank, JPBL?
Jio Payments Bank Limited also showed strong traction. Their customer base grew roughly 3 times year-over-year to 2.31 million. Deposits including CASA and wallet balances also tripled to 295 crore rupees. Their business correspondent network expanded significantly, growing over 6 times to more than 14,000 BCs. They're still waiting for RBI approval to acquire the remaining stake from SBI.
And the other payments arm, Jio Payment Solutions?
Jio Payment Solutions Limited or JPSL received its final online payment aggregator license, which is key. They also highlighted the launch of Jio SoundPay, providing audio UPI alerts, specifically targeting Jio Bharat feature phone users to expand the small merchant base. The focus here seems to be on profitable growth and margin expansion.
Okay, and briefly, insurance and the investment JVs with BlackRock?
For Jio Insurance Broking, they mentioned expanding their network to 34 insurance partners and offering 61 direct-to-customer plans, focusing on refining their digital platform. The BlackRock joint ventures are progressing. The asset management company has filed for final SEBI approval, and the platform is ready. The wealth management entity was incorporated in September 2024 and filed for its RIA license in March 2025. And the broking entity was incorporated in January 2025, also filing for its license in March 2025.
Lots of moving parts. And the Jio Finance app itself?
It seems to be gaining traction as their unified digital storefront. Launched early in FY25, it was integrated with the MyJio app later in the year. They reported 8 million monthly active users across all their digital properties as of March 2025 and received the Third-Party Application Provider or TPAP license for UPI.
So putting it all together, FY25 was clearly a year of laying the foundation and scaling up operations post-demerger.
Exactly. The commentary emphasizes swift product launches across lending, payments, and insurance, strengthening distribution, both digitally via the app and physically in key cities and through the BC network, upgrading the tech stack, and significant hiring. They mentioned having over 1,000 employees now. This execution led to the strong AUM growth, stable consolidated profits despite the build-out costs, and healthy standalone profit growth.
Were there any other significant notes or events we should be aware of?
Just to reiterate the key ones, the 0.50 rupees dividend recommendation, the 1,346 crore rupees equity infusion into subsidiaries and JVs, the pending SBI stake acquisition in the payments bank, the ongoing setup of the BlackRock JVs, and the confirmation of their CIC status from the RBI during the year.
Okay, now for a crucial part, the auditor's report. What did the auditors have to say about both the consolidated and standalone results? Any red flags?
This is a positive point for JFSL this year. The joint auditors, Lodha and Company LLP and Deloitte Haskins & Sells LLP, issued an unmodified opinion on both the consolidated and the standalone financial results for the year ended March 31, 2025.
Unmodified? So a clean report?
Yes, essentially a clean bill of health from the auditors on the financials presented for FY25. The reports include the standard Other Matters paragraph, which mentions the reliance on the work of other auditors for certain subsidiaries, associates, and joint ventures included in the consolidation, which is normal practice. But importantly, no qualifications or adverse remarks were made on the overall results for the year.
That's good news, providing some assurance on the numbers. So what's the outlook for JFSL heading into FY26 and beyond?
The company sounds quite optimistic. Their focus for FY26 is on leveraging the integrated data infrastructure and AI-driven analytics they've built to offer targeted products. They used the phrase, right product to the right customer, through the right channel. Key growth drivers will likely be the continued scaling of the lending business, building out the payments ecosystem, expanding insurance distribution, and finally launching the asset management, wealth and broking services through the BlackRock JVs. Leveraging the wider Jio ecosystem, the MyJio app integration, the Jio Bharat phone opportunity remains a core part of their strategy. Of course, risks include intense competition, navigating the regulatory environment, managing credit risk as the loan book grows rapidly, and general execution risk across so many new ventures. And the usual disclaimer, investors should consult with certified experts before making any investment decisions.
Makes sense. So to wrap up our discussion on Jio Financial Services FY25 results, it was a foundational year marked by strong execution across various business lines, especially the significant AUM growth in lending. Digital platforms like the Jio Finance app gained traction. Consolidated PAT remained stable while standalone PAT showed strong growth, driven by investment income. Importantly, the company received clean unmodified audit reports for both standalone and consolidated financials. They've recommended a maiden dividend, and the outlook is focused on leveraging data, AI, and the Jio ecosystem for continued growth in FY26.
That sums it up well. A year of building the base, and now the focus shifts to scaling and leveraging that foundation. It will be fascinating to watch how they execute across all these verticals. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more financial insights.